good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? There's a mess. I'm just realizing that. Oh well. I'll fix it later. How's everyone doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Crazy markets, right? Crazy markets. I chilled today. Let the markets just do its thing. There's a lot of volatility. We're going to talk about some things. Just checking out the chat. The markets are moving a lot. Type in the chat how long you guys have been trading for. Let me know in the chat. How long have you guys been in the markets for? A year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I've been in the markets now since about like 2015. So I'll talk about some things here, where we're at, where the markets are at, really. Some of you guys might have not experienced this type of volatility before. That's why I'm asking that question. How long some of you guys have been trading for? Maybe a year, 2 years, a couple years, maybe some months even. If you're a new trader, welcome to trading. If you're new to crypto, welcome to crypto. Whether you're new to trading forex, crypto, gold, indices, if this is a time where you're going to see a lot of people blame the markets. Blame Trump, blame Trump, blame Trump. So you notice I'm not streaming as much. I took my first L last week that I took in a while. Like a bigger L, that first decent L that I took in a while. So it was like, whoa. Scraped some of it back, but not as much like here on that bounce. In like 3 months. So I went from like the three easiest months of boom, 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 withdraws. Then last couple weeks of volatility has changed significantly. If you're a new trader, you might have not experienced this type of volatility before. If you've been a trader for at least 5 years, you've experienced this before in 2020 of March. If you've been trading for at least 5 years, you would have experienced this in 2020 March, this type of volatility. Because if we remove COVID, so March 2020, everybody should know that was COVID, right? I think we all remember the COVID-19 crisis, pandemic. A once-in-a-lifetime pandemic like that is going to cause lots of things. It caused inflation, mass amount of printing money because everything was shut down. A lot of things, components that went into that. But there was the COVID crash in. I remember I was there. I don't know if any. I'm gonna check the chat. Well, you guys answer the question. Answer the question. There we go. So let's see, 2 years. I would figure most of you are 2 years. Yeah, that's why for some reason I thought most people are 2 years, because most people I meet have been trading for like maybe 2-3 years. 4 years, okay. 4 years is a good amount of time to experience crypto. 4 years, if you're in crypto, that's a good length to get a lot of experience in crypto, because 4 years is really short term in crypto. You get a lot of experience in that. Like March of 2020, some crazy times for the market. It was the first time I experienced something like that. I remember where everything was just crashing. Not just that, like I've experienced that like it's a song I've heard before. After about 11 years, right now even what's happening, it's a similar tune and rhythm. We like to say like it's a song we've heard before. As bad as it gets when you have like a long-term experience, like after 10 years of doing something, you see a lot of these situations in different ways, bigger, smaller. Now in terms of what it is right now, it's the volatility, because like I've seen things like this before, but the volatility is, abnormal in comparison to maybe your regular, what you might have been used to over the time. I remember in 2020 March, gold crashed, everything crashed. Gold's crashing, or gold's even selling off. Nothing's safe right now. Gold's even been selling off. China, so last night China opened up, Hong Kong markets. There was like some halting. There was some, where did I post that? Give me a minute. So when the Chinese market opened last night, futures and stocks, Hong Kong, when they opened, you can see here the Taiwan stock market trading halted, circuit breaker triggered. Taiwan. Taiwan, China, India, like Taiwan and China. Taiwan has a lot of like their circuit and their grids for power. But this is interesting because this is like this is a big battle right here. China, US, that side, those markets, and then something else now. It seems, I think there's a few things we got to pull up after this. This happened last night. US market opened today. Everything went down, even gold. Gold's still dropping. Maybe it could still even. Maybe things. That's why I chilled today. Moving averages are still pretty kind of far up. Like even on the 1 hour, I have to wait for maybe like it to cross above the moving averages. Because like if this is a buy the dip situation, you don't have to catch the bottom. You can wait. You can wait. You can wait. If you try to catch the bottom, you'll probably have more than one attempt at that. And with the volatility right now, it's hard to measure right now. So you have to wait for some key prices or key areas to even get hit. Be really patient. Because you don't even have to trying to catch the bottom. Well, you'll have multiple attempts. If this is going to turn into another trend up or a bigger leg up at some point, like kind of what all these crashes have done, you can wait for that to start. Like really, like if you look at this crash back in 2020, and then we're going to go to Bitcoin too, because Bitcoin, what's happening right now, I want to give you guys a perspective for a minute versus what happened in 2020 with Bitcoin. Like this, like the gold chart after that crash, it trended up for a while after that. Like there was some signs down here, like this thing pushed up, it started pushing up, and then there was a pullback, it started pushing up. So waiting for like some clear evidence of like a daily time frame or a higher time frame shifting over and showing you, okay, it's starting to go up. Maybe that's trying to follow the trend now. Once that bottom's set in, not trying to pick off the bottom. Because if it's a buy the dip scenario, it's gonna start a trend. If it's gonna be a big crash and a buy the dip situation, it will more than likely start a longer trend after that, where the daily starts going into a bullish market structure, or the 4 hour starts going into a bullish market structure. After that, once the tide really changes over, can't really guess where this is gonna stop and how long it's gonna keep going down for. We might go down all week and then start to recover near the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. Right? We could go down all week and then maybe recovers a bit at the end of the week. Right? It could go down to the middle of the month Things could go down to the middle of the month, maybe near the end of the month, and start some recovery middle of the month towards the end of the month, right? Even though it's like a buy the dip situation, right now there could still be more pressure, because I remember COVID, we were like it would just drag, and then eventually the tide shifted over, and the structure started shifting, and it's like you're getting higher highs being made. There's more of a bullish market structure being printed after that complete market crash that gold did, Bitcoin did, everything did, like it is right now. Yeah, I always, even in HFX days, I always just focused on forex. I always even said that. I always told people like the main thing I trade is MetaTrader. I always tell people that's the way to go. I don't know. The whole binary stuff. I was really good at it, teaching it, helping people, but it was everyone traded at one point. People still do, especially in like Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, countries like that. It's huge. I need like a napkin. Oh my gosh. Protein. Use my hairy arms and then wipe it on my shorts. Nice, very class. So like studying, when I go back and look at like the COVID crash, market going down, there was some really strong price action that came in at one point to show a shift towards like the end of the month. But then, you had higher highs being made, structure being shown. So I think that's like right now when you're looking for this buy the dip on gold, like if that's what it's going to be coming into soon enough. You're not trying to just find the bottom. Like if you look at the 4 hour right now, we're underneath the moving averages on the 4 hour. Right, so kind of like if you look over here, underneath moving averages. It could still drag down. Eventually, when it gets above those moving averages or closer to them, that's a better trend signal, longer term. Or even on the 1 hour. Like, if the 1 hour can come closer and we can get more shifts up, like if we're looking over here, this is how the 1 hour was when this was free falling for. I mean, measurable, is it, how big was this drop? This was like the biggest drop we had recently, which I think right now it's way bigger in terms of price. Let me see. Yeah, way bigger right now. Yeah, it's like double the size. Like if you're looking at even, okay, so this would be about there. The 4 hour would have been here. The 4 hour moving averages would have been like above, probably until like here, probably until like over here where I'm circling. The 4 hour moving averages probably would have been like, yeah, see where I'm circled. I circled it really right where I circled. See, around where I circled. 4 hour stays intact. You get a crossover on the 4 hour here, and then you cross over both of them. It starts to go the other direction after that. The 1 hour, when you're looking at the 1 hour, even here, for instance, like the 1 hour, you can see it's below, but then there's a point where the 1 hour, we start to cross over and we go into more of a trend shift here, up. You gotta wait a bit, maybe like there's divergence signs showing on this 1 hour. Still like a signal to maybe wait for the next couple of weeks could be just closely watching moving averages, because they are, you can see from like daily, obviously we're coming down to this one. The 4 hour, we got this crossover here. 1 hour's below, that could be like something to wait, like right over here, like what I circled over here. That'll be a better signal or a trend shift in the market. Watching these moving averages, seeing if they can get that crossover signal I like to mix through different time frames. You might be able to see like a signal on a 4 hour or a 2 hour or 1 hour, and it might look more clear on one time frame versus another. Like when we're looking at drops, if we, like we're used to these drops. We're really used to these. We're used to these drops right here. Those are the drops that we've been used to seeing since like January. Those same drops are happening right now, but they're bigger in price. Like the candlesticks, you're getting the same candlesticks that you get, but they're just bigger in terms of pips right now. There's more volatility. Hopefully that VIX, so the volatility index, I'll pull that up. We're used to like seeing these sell-offs that happen, right? And they turn into buy the dip scenarios. Even like on these dips, crossing above the moving average, so it's moving average crossover. Even dips like this, you can see a dip here. You got a cross above the moving average. This was like the biggest drop. Crosses above the moving average. I mean, right now, look how this thing's just free falling. Right? Yeah, it could flip up. Like, look what happened last night. Just quickly flipped, but went back down. Alright, now would be a good time to just even use the quarters. Like, more lean to the quarters, like 29.50, 29.25. Like, right now would be a better time to expect price could go farther. You know, not underestimate that it could drop to 2900, right? Not underestimate so much of it going down more. There's still potential of that, but this is a good time to where, unless you're really on the chart, like you're on the chart, you're being quick, because when you take trades right now, you could take a trade right now and it could quickly go into profit. Unless you're on the charts, watching, like, but right now would be a good time to even lean more towards quarter levels on gold, 25s, 50, so every $25. Yesterday it hit 75 and bounced off of 75. Now it's below 75, almost at 50, 29.50. So when you're looking at even the market right now, so you maybe don't take as many forceful trades, or you give yourself that, because there's so much volatility, price is spreading out, it's making these bigger ranges. Like naturally it's like, well, we're seeing $100 moves in a day. So levels like 29.50, 2900 would be more keen, better to lean towards, like if I'm looking at maybe where I'm wanting to get an entry if prices doing these dips, like if price is dropping in, if the market's dropping into these prices, these are more likely, and just because they're farther away gives you time. 29.50, 29.25, 2900 level, that's where a lot of the last kind of big price action was happening on gold. So you can see some support and resistance at those levels. You know, you can see 29.50. You can see here. You can see 29.25. You can see some price reactions on candlesticks around those areas. I think if you're scoping out price this week, it's, you know, it's still Monday. You might be able to get some of those levels reached, or just be patient enough. Try to be more patient, because the market will give you setups when you're more patient. There was a good one here. If we're looking for buys using the quarters as price, like it already happened 2 times, kind of like 20. I don't think 3,000 held, did it? There was a bit of there was a reaction off of 3,000 really quickly. There was a reaction off of 75. So not every, the sells are sticking. I think eventually, again, if this is a market crash with all uncertainty, it looks like, well, what did I just see here on Twitter? Trump announces potential. Trump is Guns blazing on China. So Trump today, took 2 hours ago, Trump announces potential 104% tariff on China. Who knows where it's going to lead to with this retaliation? Because China recently, China does not withdraw its recent. If China, so see what happens here. You can read that. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the United States will impose an additional 50% tariffs on Chinese goods if China does not withdraw its recent 34% retaliatory tariff increase by April 8th. So that's tomorrow. So by April 8th, this proposed U.S. tariff would take effect by April 9th, bringing the total tariff on Chinese goods to 104%. This move is a response to the ongoing trade dispute between the two countries. So in the last couple of years, we had pandemic. Once in a lifetime, in different lifetimes, because there's been other pandemics. There was the Spanish flu, there was the influenza pandemic. Like there's been pandemics in the world, and not in my lifetime, right? And not even our lifetimes, right? If we look back, like from what I know, the Spanish flu, the bird flu, influenza, 1955, 1958, right? Not in my lifetime, but in my lifetime, there's been crises, pandemics, swine flu, the pig flu, H1N1, Ebola, COVID. Is it something? Not getting conspiracy here, but I can look at my lifetime and say, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. There's been these things, and I can look at other lifetimes and say, oh, there's been other pandemics and lifetimes. And if you think about the population in the world, then think about these other pandemics that happened 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. What was the population of the world then? How many people did those pandemics? So history tends to repeat itself, right? Now, we look at the last years, it's been that pandemic, the COVID, the inflation, everything. The wars, the crises, conflicts. Now we're in trade wars, all right? SMA, simple moving average, and an EMA. So now he's guns blazing. He's looking to act quick because by tomorrow, and take effect on April 9th. So by Wednesday, if they don't negotiate, I guess, or to come down with that. And I heard they were going to negotiate. Let's see what other news there is. So there's a lot of news to keep up with, but I think it's just patience, letting the market. I said today in Inner Circle chat, I didn't trade today. I just letting the market do its thing. European Union proposes 25% tariffs on U.S. goods. Larry Fink, BlackRock CEO, says we're probably in a recession right now. Cool. I mean, we've been in a silent recession, right? What happened like 100 years ago? Like the Great Depression. Think about what we're silently in. Like with income. 30, 40 years ago, the income you had could get you way much more of a house, way much more of this. 50 years ago, X amount of years ago, the amount of money you make to what it could buy you in goods, purchasing power over the years has diluted and gone down. So silently, like in the last 4, 5, 10 years, we've been silently in a depression. If you look at like what the dollar could get you 40 years ago, 30 years ago, if you compare it, if you look at how much money was printed in the last 4 years, more money was printed in the last 4 years than the last 80 years. So like, it's more than just one thing that's going on right now. It could be a failed system. It could be a failed system. that's been outdated for a long time, maybe, or you know. Larry Fink, I didn't know that. This is my first kind of jumping on the charts today. I didn't look at the charts today because I was looking last night, stacking some crypto positions last night. So I just said, "Fuck it, I'm going to bed." Fucking. This is interesting though. I want to post this on my story. Larry Fink. Huh. What do you know? We're probably in a recession right now. I've thought for the last, and I've told people we're in like a silent depression. Silently getting robbed every year of your purchasing power. BTC bouncing, someone said. I noticed that. So obviously everyone noticed. Fuck. It went down. Yikes. The R word's getting thrown around a lot. Jerome Powell. If you don't know who Jerome Powell is, most of you guys should, right? Jerome Powell's used it. Now we got fucking Larry Fink using it. If you want, based on what happened from 2020, 2021 up until now, we technically are in a recession. Like, based on what's happened historically, remove COVID. Let's take COVID out of the picture. This hasn't happened since like 2008 and a bit after that. Or when they removed the gold standard. 1968, 1971, when they removed the gold standard. If you take COVID, let's take COVID out of the picture. Remove COVID. COVID didn't happen. We haven't seen this in a while. So they like to say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So like, remember that. Things are crashing. Even gold's crashing. Gold's crashing. What's Bitcoin doing? Someone said the BTC had a nice bounce today, up to like 81. Okay. I want to talk about this in a bit because there's a perspective I want to show you guys real quick on crypto and things. All right. So there's still more we gotta go over. I gotta give you guys a little perspective here with crypto. Might help for some of you that are sweating right now. This is crazy though. We're like, fuck. I'm gonna be talking about this when I'm older. It's gonna be like, Dad, how did you get rich? Dad, how did you get rich? Larry Fink says he won't rule out another 20% market drop. What's this? Let's click on this. BlackRock, Larry Fink suggests that another 20% stock market drop could come amid the current economic decline. Fink says he sees the current dip as potential. Yeah, so do us all. It's the same shit we're all saying. Like, it doesn't take a fucking genius to say this, or a trillionaire, or whatever he is. I could tell you it's the same thing. Like, I've been saying the same thing. Like, everything's potential buy the dip scenarios, but you can't rule out, like, exactly what he said. Right? But, cool. Fucking Jim Cramer said that. Like, Jim Cramer literally said that. So, like, this is, yeah. But this is interesting. So he would have said that today. Survey didn't see him. Okay, he had an interview. Additionally, BlackRock, you guys can read it. Says that the United States could already be in a recession. Most CEOs I talk to say we're in a recession. Most CEOs I talk to. So there we go. See, this is him saying this is big. That's like one of those names. Like, obviously him saying this is like shit. It's him saying I won't rule it out, but him saying it's the same way I've been thinking. It's like JP Morgan CEO shared a similar statement. We knew that already. Things can get worse before they get better. Blah blah blah. Yep. Tariffs. Goldman Sachs. I know you guys knew about that already. Wow. 69% of CEOs surveyed by CNBC said they expect a recession on the heels of Trump's sweeping market rupturing tariffs plan. This is the Trump recession, said one of the 22 CEOs who received the flash survey. So JP Morgan, JP Morgan, yeah, we knew that already. Wow, this is thanks, Trump. Italy boycotting a lot of American stuff. France, India, Canada. I mean, for both sides, it's not like it's a battle. No, it's like a lot going on. Short-term pain. They're saying you gotta take your medicine. That's what he said when he jumped off his plane. When asked about the market, you gotta take your medicine before you feel better. That's what he said. A lot of money is expected. Like, there's a lot of money trying to come into the States. Hyundai, so if you know, like the company Hyundai, there's money that wants to come in, trillions of dollars. Like, there is pledges to the U.S. What he's trying to do is bring money in, and with these tariffs, it brings money in, business, jobs, whatever his plan is. Yeah, there is like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Hyundai, Apple, Nvidia. When we look at this, so you guys can read this real quick. I'll let you guys read this. And maybe just read it in your head real quick. Take your time. We're going over a lot here. This is going to be one session. We're going to go over a lot of stuff. This is recorded. You can look for the information on your own after too. So just read this real quick. They might have to cut interest rates quicker. So Wednesday we got FOMC. Jerome Powell might be forced to cut rates. This Wednesday, we have an interesting week because remember what I just brought up, the China thing. If China doesn't bring their shit down, Wednesday it goes into effect. And then Wednesday we got Jerome Powell. The country. Right now, the country in the world right now that wants to bring interest rates down the most is the United States of America, right? And I've even said, retail's not here in crypto. Once interest rates are lowered, things start to come down. People are saving money again. or at least feeling like they're saving money because interest rates are down, right? Even when people have that feel, like when people can borrow more money and or people are able to save more of their income, it's not even a matter of it's a combination of things. Even when rates come down, it gives people ability to borrow more. That's what happened in 2020, 2021. Coming into 2020, people's incomes were here. People's incomes, 2019, 2020, 2021, people's incomes were up. The prices were down, right? So people had spending habits. Interest rates were down. People were able to take out more money for a cheaper rate. But what happened? Inflation, right? People keep spending the same. Like, you're spending the same, but your purchasing power is diluting. A lot happened in the last couple of years. The country that wants to bring the rates down the most is U.S. Jerome Powell. It's going to be an interesting week. Powell last year is on his second term next year. This is Powell's last year, right? Last year of his second term is next year. Powell, the last year of his second term is next year. So there's no way. I don't think he's going to leave the market like this in trash before his Powell's Powell's last year of his second term is next year. There's no way. Yeah. My friend just texted me that. I'm reading a text message my friend just sent me. Yeah, so like Powell last year, this is the last year of his second term. This next year, there's no way he's going to leave the stock market in trash like this. If they cut the rates Wednesday, I think so. But Bitcoin, I would think I would be more for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Confident of that. So if there's a few things on there, right? A few interesting things there. And remember that picture I just showed you? He's trying to bring money into the States. Hyundai, the big Japanese, auto company. Apple, because Apple, it's a battle right now. Because Apple, what? Where's Apple from? But where does Apple build? Where does Apple work? So like Hyundai wants to invest in U.S. Hyundai is pledged to invest into U.S. And they've also pledged to build a $5.6 billion like steel factory or something like that. Some of these things come with other things, like Hyundai. There's going to be a factory built in the U.S. and it's worth like $4.6 billion, something like that. I was reading up. Trying to bring more money in with the tariffs, more money in with business. If he's pressuring companies, so he's using these tariffs to pressure everyone to fold. This is pushing the Fed to cut rates and maybe make. Every time we hear Jerome Powell speak, it's like he's always so stiff with that. It's like, okay. The stock market. So the last few are interesting because 94% of stocks are owned by just 8% of Americans, aka the rich. So I read an article. I have another thing we'll pull up. It's basically someone said he's trying to be like the Robin Hood. He's not. The rich have always just gotten richer in situations like this. Or the last 4 years, the rich have just gotten richer, and the poor have gotten poorer. Or middle class have gone to barely getting by. Average everyday people are struggling, right? Middle class, the average everyday American dream, middle class everyday American person, that like 20 years ago, what that is gone, right? Like, I've only been around for almost 29 years this year, but I could see how the world evolved from what it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s till now. So like if you think about the rich get richer, The rich have just gotten richer in the last 4 years, by the way. The last 4 or 5 years. Now, right now, the people getting affected the most right now are the rich. I'm fucking hurting right now. This hurts. So it's like right now, what they're saying every day, like if you look at, because think about the stock market, what it says right there, 8% of it, 94% of stocks are owned by just 8% of wealth, you know? So this is hurting. The stock market's crashing. Who's it hurting though? Like, yeah, like how is it bad? Like, who's it hurt? It's hurting the rich. He doesn't really care about that. I don't think. Like the stock market's bleeding out. Yeah, it sucks for us traders in crypto. The one thing that's has the most staying power is Bitcoin. We're gonna get to the crypto talk soon. This deals with crypto talk because lowering interest rates. That's when retail doesn't just. It's not when retail comes in, but it's the start of. Okay, retail's gonna come like eventually. That's when you get your alt season, your meme season, all that shit. Maybe in August. Like rates could get cut because it takes time for things to happen. Rates get cut, things go down. Maybe people save money, feel like they save money, but people are able to borrow more money. That takes some time into like August, end of the year. I got some feelings about things. I don't know. I say random months, but a lot of times I'm always right with the random months. It might seem random. Like I feel like August, September, like September, October, November, December, we're gonna be pumping again. 401k being wiped out. Yeah. I guess everyone's being affected. I didn't think of that. Yeah, you're right. I guess everyday people are getting fucked. Yeah, everyone's fucked. But like right now in the stock market, yeah. Most of the stocks owned in America, 94% of it owned is by literally rich people. Trump is trying to crash the stock market at least 20%, causing a flight into treasuries. This will cause the Fed to slash interest rates so he can refinance the debt to near 0% and cause a deflationary spiral which will lower the cost of everything. He also intends to use tariffs as an incentive for companies to build in the U.S. This some of the stuff that was said in those bullet points, right? A lot of these are kind of said in the bullet points. I mean, let's hope the guy's fucking, you know, hope he's right? I would look at, because for me, March 2020, like I said, I started this session. If you're on at the beginning, I talked about my, over 10-year experience that I haven't seen anything like this since March 2020, right? 5 years ago. That because of that, I'm where I am right now. Because of that market, because of the opportunities I capitalized on, the things I bought, the cryptos I bought and held on to. So who knows how long this lasts, but it looks like things are escalating quickly. Like it looks like things are. He's had 4 years to think about this, so it's it's not like it's going play by play like random. I think it's 4 years. Like that's why all this stuff's happening so quickly. Like when I read, where was that he's warning how much power BlackRock is warning people leveraging longs. Fink says maybe down 20%. I buy the dip. Same movie, same song. Like I said, same song, different rhythm. Bearish news, extreme bearish sentiment. Market's on edge. Could happen. He's saying that. What else was said today? President Trump cancels press conference. Huh. Yeah, that was just earlier today. We know that. We just read about that. Countries from all over the world. Yeah. Damn, man. We don't need this guy. Got to talk right now. Someone mute him. Right. Federal Reserve announces closed board meeting for today. Wow. Trump says, "Don't be weak." Yeah, don't be fucking weak hands. All right. Don't no lettuce hands here. Jeez, it's every day. Oil prices are down, interest rates are down, food prices are down. There's no inflation. Okay. That's today, folks. That's your day. that's your Monday. That's your Monday before this Wednesday. This Wednesday we got is it this Wednesday? When's Jerome? Next? It's this month, right? What was canceled? Did I cancel that today? There's FOMC meeting minutes this week. Canada federal election. Now, crypto, Bitcoin. If you're looking at Bitcoin right now and you're panicking, yeah, it's down 32% from the highs of around 110,000, just below $110,000 per coin. So we're below 100K right now on Bitcoin. We're above 50,000 on Bitcoin, and 70,000 is right here. All right, we got $50,000, $70,000 per coin to the right here, and we're above that, which is like, okay, we're still above these prices. That is good. We're in a worst case scenario right now to where this could be a buy the dip, because the market's down 30%. And that's quite a lot for Bitcoin to be down. Last time it was down that much was over here, 33%. So last time it was down this much was over here. Okay? And that was what took it up to $110,000. So the last time we've lost this much percentage on Bitcoin was over here, right? But it didn't just happen as fast as it's happened recently. It actually took a lot longer to lose that percentage. The market stayed in a gradual phase, kind of sideways for quite some time before it catapulted to the upside. You can see there was a lot of up and down movement from going up to down, 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 up to down. Overall, there was a down move in that time. Overall, the market went from here to here in that period of time, right? Now, in that period of time, from point A to point B, the market lost 33% of its value from the high to the low. You have 33% lost right there. Now, what would have been happening in here, and I mean, I experienced it, so I know you would have had extreme greed, fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed, extreme greed, fearful, extreme greed, fearful, extreme greed, fearful, extreme greed. You know, like pump up, flash down, recovery, 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 flash down, right? So, in terms of from here to here, it would have been like, oh my God, we're going to the moon. Oh my God, we're down. Yeah, we're back. Let's go to the moon. Oh my God. Fuck, everything's down. Yeah, we're going back. Oh shit, everything's down again. We're coming back. Oh my gosh, we're back in fear. We're back. We're going to the moon. Ah, back in fear. We're going back. Ah, back in fear. We're going back. You know, all of these would have been sentiments then. So look at the market right now, like from here to here, up and down, up and down. Every single time it's spiked up and spiked down. It's the same sentiment happening a lot quicker right now, where we're back, we're going back. Oh my God, we're down. Oh, we're back, we're back. Oh my God, we're down. Even these little moves now, we're going down. Fuck, we're back in fear. Oh yes, we're going back to the moon. Oh, we're back in fear. Oh, we're coming back. Oh, we're back in fear. Oh, we're back. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Recovery. Oh, we're fucked. If it goes up, it's gonna be let's go, let's go, let's go. We're back, and then it could flush out again, and then go back, and then flush out, and then fucking rip up at one point. It could, and then eventually just fucking go to 125K. Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario? Like, we're in a worst case scenario, but okay, so, like, how I look at things is like bottom line thinking. I think of the worst case scenario, and then I think of the worst. All right? Right now, we're in a worst case scenario. Right now, we're in a worst case scenario where it's like, if you were, let's just think this was a month or two ago, and I was saying, like, if you've been on my sessions, I've been saying, since this was at 100,000, 90,000, I've been saying this could go to 80, this could go to 70, and you got to think worst case scenario. I've talked like this in February, January, all the months. It's all recorded. Some of you guys have heard me talk like that, right? So I think worst case scenario, I've been talking about the worst case scenario since January and February. We're in the worst case scenario right now that I've talked about and said before, where it's like it could go down to 72,000 or 70,000 or 75 in the 70s before going up. Now the worst case scenario would be it goes down to 50, 60K before going to 125K. Or 130K a coin. Because you could stay in this phase if you go to the left, for instance, and you look at this over here to the left, before we went to 100K. Before we went to 110K or 100K, let's just say 100K. Before we went to 100, what did the price do and how long did it do that for? Right? It spent about 230 days kind of in that phase towards the last quarter of the year, the end of the year. Right? So like right now, when we look at the peak up here, we've been 113 days. 230 days would give us going into the summer, end of the year, that last quarter of the year. Worst case scenario, you have some time before even this rips up. That's the worst case scenario. Worst case. No, worst case. I don't know if it's going to go to 60,000 in that timeline. It could go to 60. In that timeline, it could go down longer. It could flush out. It could have some recoveries, flush out, and it could end up still ripping up to 120K, 125K before the end of the year, 2026, before 2026. That's what I think. But there could still be more bleeding out before that. Like it could still go down. It could have, because if you think about what happened in here, if you look at what happened in here, and you just think about if you're in crypto and you're like, here it's at 73,000 and it drops and it goes up, drops. It did a lot of up and down in there, and eventually dragged out even lower. So right now, when you look at the market, like you're in a worst case scenario right now where you've had a major correction, where we've gotten a major correction. See here, this was 24%, but at the most it dropped 33%. So from our top right now, we're about the same in terms of how much the market has lost. Now, yeah, it looks bad. It happened quicker. It's happened quicker than that. I would say, right? It's happened a lot quicker than that. Now, March 2020, I talked about that at the beginning. This drop might look bad if you're not so much of a Bitcoiner. If you have only meme coins and only altcoins, then yeah, this drop is just shitty for you. If you don't have Bitcoin and like you don't have a lot of Bitcoin, or you don't have more Bitcoin than everything else in your portfolio, then yeah, this is a pretty bad time for you depending on when you've been buying your coins, right? You gotta remember the difference between like BTC and everything else. If BTC drops 5%, Solana's gonna drop 10%. If Solana drops 10%, any Solana meme coins are gonna drop 20%. If BTC drops 5, Ethereum's gonna drop 9. If Ethereum drops 9, any Ethereum alternative coins are gonna drop 15 to 20. Meme coins will drop 20. If Bitcoin drops 5%, any meme coin you have, whatever chain it's on, Solana chain, Ethereum chain, whatever network, those are going to drop 15 to 20%. Whatever Ethereum, that's what you got to understand. That's why Bitcoin's really powerful to have the most of it, like the most you can versus everything else, and especially in times like this. The COVID crash, so the COVID crash was this. Bitcoin lost 63% really quickly. Really, really quickly. The market's not doing this. But we're seeing volatility. Like the market's doing this. We're seeing this volatility, right? Like think about this for a minute. Bitcoin went from 10,500 to 3,800 really quickly. That deficit is a lot worse and a lot crazier than what's happening right now. That was a lot worse than what's happening right now for the market. And this, we haven't seen volatility like this since then. I'm not just talking about crypto, for the market, for everything, right? That COVID crash, we haven't come back since. We haven't come back to it. The COVID crash. It's left the COVID crash. The COVID crash is, I don't think we'll ever come back to that. I don't think we'll ever come back to 18, 20,000 down here. 60, worst case scenario for me. 60,000 is my worst case scenario this year. Is like the 60s. Worst case. But if you look at the way this thing has been dropping compared to everything else is on like a nosedive, right? Everything else is on a nosedive right now, like US 30, S&P, some stocks. There's a lot of things that you can look at that are have had the biggest sell-offs in a long time, right? Nosedives, falling, free falling. A lot of money has gone out of those. End of the day, gold, what's it doing? I think these times, if New York session, like these times are better to wait for. I think this is when price will slow down. If it's bearish all day, this is the time of the day price will slow down. If it's just bearish days, these hours for gold. You know, in times like this, from my experience, like I still want to bet on gold going up. Personally, like from my experience, it makes sense. I chilled today. I'm probably gonna look for buys this week. Like try to see if I can catch a swing. Just got yeah, this time of the day, like end of London session, these hours, like the last couple of hours, 12, 1, 2 p.m. Is a time of the day where gold will slow down, especially if it's been bearish all day. Almost hit 29.50 today. Hit the 29.50s. Maybe would have what price do we get to on here? It's just below 3,000 on spot price.
Unbelievable. And the lives, you know, they lived in a pipe, not really a tunnel, it was a pipe. And they always thought they were suffocating. They were going to suffocate.
Right before market close, he's speaking. What do you know?
And it was like 3.5 feet high.
I'm going to turn the camera off.
You know, we hear tunnels bad, but pipes are worse. And the stories I heard were incredible. But I just said, was there any sign of potential love or affection? And there were none whatsoever. It was amazing to me. There was nothing like, here, take this, it's a little extra meal or something. They lived like hell. I don't know. They were amazing to me because they seemed to be pretty normal. They weren't scarred, but I guarantee underneath they have to be scarred. And one was there for 356 days. Another was there for about 180 days, you know, a long time. These are people that have been really, really horribly treated. I've never seen anything like it, actually. I was very surprised to hear the answer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Are there 2 or 3 countries that are on your list that you feel are farther along in getting their tariffs lowered?
I think there are many that want to get rid of tariffs right now. European Union, I mean, as badly as they've treated us, they've brought their car tariffs essentially off. I guess they brought it down to 2.5, and I hear maybe to nothing. But it's not only tariffs, it's non-monetary tariffs. It's tariffs where they put things on that make it impossible for you to sell a car. It's not a money thing. They make it so difficult, the standards and the tests. They drop a bowling ball on the top of your car from 20 feet up in the air, and if there's a little dent, they say, no, I'm sorry, your car doesn't qualify. When the same car from Germany or anything would dent likewise, unless you're going to have an army tank, it's going to dent. So they come up with rules and regulations that are just designed for one reason, that you can't sell your product in those countries, and we're not going to let that happen. Those are called non-monetary barriers. They make barriers that are so tough that it's impossible to qualify. So tariffs are a big part of it, but there's another big part of it, and that's barriers. They also do something else. They manipulate their currency, and they drive it down. They want to have low currencies. You know, it sounds better to have a high currency, a strong dollar or whatever, but they bring their currency down. And when it competes with our currency, it's very hard to sell a tractor. It's very hard to sell product, because their currency is low and ours is much higher relatively. And so it makes it very hard. I speak to a lot of companies that do business, tractor companies, and they say it's so hard to sell because what they've done is they've lowered the yen, or they've lowered the yuan, or they've lowered their currency, so that it's very hard to compete. We don't want that either. So we have a lot of things that we're talking about, but we're going to fix it properly, and it's going to be fair to everybody. And in the end, I think we're going to have a world that does a lot better, you know, but they have to respect the United States. And nobody but me would do this. Nobody but me would do this. You know, it would be nice to serve a nice, easy term, but we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table on trade. We lose billions of dollars. We lose close to $2 trillion a year on trade. We lose $1 trillion a year to China. $1 trillion. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year on trade to China. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars overall, probably close to $2 trillion. Why would we do that? Number one, why would we do that? And then you have to say, is it sustainable? Then you hear about all of the people that say, well, deficits. If we have a deficit with the country, or if the country has a big surplus with us, like China has a massive surplus, that they take and they spend on their military. Well, we don't want that. I don't want them to take $500, $600 billion a year and spend it on their military. I don't want them spending money on their military. And I shouldn't have to spend money. We shouldn't have to spend it either. Because, you know, hopefully, and I said this to President Xi, hopefully it's money that we're never going to use. In other words, because we're not going to use those incredible weapons that we have and that they have. We don't want that. So it's going to be very interesting. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table. Because no other president would be willing to do what I'm doing or to even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end. But we are making tremendous progress with a lot of countries, and the countries that really took advantage of us are now saying, please negotiate. You know why? Because they're getting beaten badly because of what's happening. They're getting beaten badly. They're being devalued as countries. But it's the only chance we're going to have to reset the table on trade. And when we do, we're going to come out unbelievably well. We're going to have a strong country economically again. And we're going to have those factories that are empty all over the United States. We've lost 90,000 plants and factories. Think of this, 90,000, you wouldn't think it's possible. 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA, which was, by the way, the worst trade deal ever developed, ever had by any country anywhere, NAFTA. And I terminated NAFTA. Everybody said it would be impossible. And I terminated it through Congress. We terminated it. You had to get it through Congress. It was a trap. It was a horrible thing. And we got it done. And we went to the USMCA, which was much better. The problem is they cheat. They cheat like crazy. Canada cheats. Mexico cheats. Just one of those things. But we are resetting a table, and we're going to have great trade. And we're going to have a very strong country. Our country is going to be at a level that has maybe never been, or maybe, you know, our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913. You know why? It was all tariff-based. We had no income tax. Then in 1913, some genius came up with the idea of let's charge the people of our country, not foreign countries that are ripping off our country. And the country was never that kind of wealth. We had so much wealth, we didn't know what to do with our money. We had meetings, we had committees, and these committees worked tirelessly to study one subject. We have so much money, what are we going to do with it, who are we going to give it to? And I hope we're going to be in that position again.
Mr. President, do you plan to reduce the tariffs that your government put on Israeli goods, 17%?
On where?
On Israeli goods, the 17%. Do you plan
Well,
to
we're
reduce
talking about a whole new trade. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't forget, we help Israel a lot. You know, we give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty good. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year. Billions. It's one of the highest of, and we give a lot of countries money. You wouldn't believe if I said we give Afghanistan a lot of money, do you? Because that was a Biden deal, another Biden deal. Not only did he embarrass us with that, but they give them billions of dollars, Afghanistan, right? So, but no, we take good care of our friends, and we don't take care of our enemies. We're not taking care of our enemies anymore, but we do take care of our friends.
There's a reference to the Times of Israel. The IDF is fighting again in the Gaza Strip. I myself might be called up in a month. Do you think that's the way to pressure Hamas to get to a deal? And do you think blocking humanitarian aid is also an effective pressure?
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in, but you know, having a peace force like the United States there, controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing. Because right now, all it is for years and years, all I hear about is killing and Hamas and problems. And if you take the people, the Palestinians, and move them around to different countries, and you have plenty of countries that will do that, and you really have a freedom a freedom zone. You call it the freedom zone, a free zone, a zone where people aren't going to be killed every day. That's a hell of a place. It's you know what I call it, a great location that nobody wants to live in because they really don't. And when they have good living, real living, where Hamas and all of the problems they have, the level of death on the Gaza Strip is just incredible. And I've said it. I don't understand why Israel ever gave it up. Israel owned it. It wasn't this man, so I can say it. He wouldn't have given it up. I know him very well. There's no way. They took oceanfront property and they gave it to people for peace. How did that work out? Not good.
Is the immigration, sorry, Mr. President, is the immigration plan still on the agenda?
Which immigration?
From Gaza. From Gaza.
All it is a concept that I had that I think is good, and now people are copying it. You know, maybe you want to tell. People are talking about the Trump plan. Gee, why don't we do that? Would you like to answer that question?
I think what the president talked about is, first of all, to give people a choice. You know, Gazans were closed in, and every other place, including in arenas of battle. I mean, whether it's Ukraine or Syria or any other place, people could leave. Gaza was the only place where they locked them in. We didn't lock them in. They're locked in. And what is wrong with giving people a choice? Now, we've been talking, including over lunch, about some countries, I won't go into them right now, that are saying, you know, if Gazans want to leave, we want to take them in. And I think this is the right thing to do. If you give, you know, it's going to take years to rebuild Gaza. In the meantime, people can have an option. The president has a vision. Countries are responding to that vision. We're working on it. I hope we'll have good news for you.
I will say people really do love that vision. It's a long-term vision, but so importantly is to have that be a safe field, because you're right smack in the middle of the Middle East. You're right along Israel. It should have never, ever been given away. It shouldn't have been given away by Israel. I don't know why they did it. I mean, I do know why, because they were promised peace, but that didn't work out too well, because it's one of the most dangerous pieces of land anywhere in the world. Gaza is one of the most dangerous places in the world. So they gave it away for a good intention, and it didn't work out that way. And a lot of people like my concept, but you know, there are other concepts that I like too. And there are some concepts I don't like. You know what I don't like? The way it is now. Because right now it's a dangerous death trap, Gaza. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Can you talk a little bit about your potential meeting with Vladimir Putin? Do you still plan to meet with him? Could that happen in Saudi Arabia? And maybe you could elaborate as well a little bit on not providing tariffs on Russia, sir.
So the reason we're not talking about tariffs with Russia is because we're not doing business essentially with Russia, because they're in a war. And I'm not happy about what's going on with the bombing, because they're bombing like crazy right now. They're bombing. I don't know what's happening there. That's not a good situation. So we're meeting with Russia. We're meeting with Ukraine. And we're getting sort of close. But I'm not happy with all the bombing that's going on in the last week or so. Horrible. It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing.
Can countries negotiate to get below 10%?
In terms of tariffs?
In terms of tariffs, yes.
Look, we've been ripped off and taken advantage of for 40, 50, 60 years. And the reason we got ripped off and the way they did it was tariffs. They would charge tariffs, massive numbers of dollars. And when you look at China, when I took over, it was at $507 billion they were making. I call it making. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Having a surplus means a lot, in my opinion. It's almost like a profit or loss statement. And when I took over, it was $507 billion that China was, this is originally, first term. And we were very, very tough on them because they were taking that money and they were building a military with it. Then when Biden came in, he let him get away with murder. He had no idea. I'll tell you what, that man had no idea what was happening, whether it was the border or China or anything else. He had no idea what was going on. And they went wild. China went wild. And the money they make is ridiculous, okay? It's just not gonna happen. And hopefully we'll get along with China. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's okay too. But we can't let that continue, because that's an abuse. They abused the poor people that sat in the seat. That poor Biden, he was abused by them. They took advantage of him, and I'm surprised. You know, they have smart people. They were radical left lunatics, but they're smart. I'm surprised they'd allow that to take, to happen. But we are going to bring great trade, and we're going to be fair to other countries. And I will say this, virtually every country wants to negotiate. If I didn't do what I did over the last couple of weeks, you wouldn't have anybody wants to negotiate. We would have gone to these countries, you want to talk? And they were, well, we don't want to talk. Now they're coming to us. They're offering things like even Bibi, and this is unrelated because it's a different kind of a relationship, but he started off our conversation today that he's cutting all of the tariffs, he's cutting everything, he's going to get down to a free base, he's going to do things that, in all fairness, other countries, if they said that, would have never even thought about doing it. Now they're offering things to us that we would have never even thought of asking them for, because they're experiencing a lot of hurt. And the hurt is that they've taken advantage of us, and we finally fought back. Tariffs will make this country very rich. We're rich anyway, but we're rich in a certain way. We have $36 trillion in debt. I want to get rid of it, and we can do it quickly with proper deals. So when countries don't allow us to sell our product, but we allow them to sell their product, when they charge us massive amounts of money for the privilege of going into their country, those days are over. Okay. Go ahead.
Me?
Sure.
Me? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, two questions, please. First, if you can give us more details about where the meeting on Saturday is going to take place.
I can't tell you that. I can just tell you there's a major meeting going on between us and Iran, and that'll take place on Saturday, and it's at top level.
And the second question about this. A lot of people think that those talks are not going to lead anywhere because the Iranians will never be.
I think that's a possibility too.
If diplomacy fails, is the United States, under your leadership, ready to take military action to destroy the Iranian nuclear program and remove this threat?
I think if the talks aren't successful with Iran, I think Iran is going to be in great danger. And I hate to say it, great danger, because they can't have a nuclear weapon.
So is that a yes?
You know, it's not a complicated formula. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's all there is.
So
Can't have it.
ready?
Right now, we have countries that have nuclear power that shouldn't have it, but I'm sure we'll be able to negotiate out of that too as part of this later on down the line. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the talks aren't successful, I actually think it'll be a very bad day for Iran if that's the case. Yeah.
Mr. President, on manufacturing, Mr. President.
Mr. President, was October 7th the death blow of the two-state solution, and would you consider classifying the Palestinian Authority as a terrorist organization for its continued paper-slave terror financing payments?
So October 7th was a horrible day that some people, they deny it. Now, I can't believe they deny it from the standpoint of it. They do it because they think it's good politically. But October, I've seen the tapes, I've seen things that you don't want to see. October 7th was a horrible day, and it will go down as one of the really bad days in the history of the world. It was a horrible, horrible thing that happened. And they grabbed some of these people. I'll give you an example. When I was with the 10 hostages a few weeks ago, I said, so how many are there? 59. I said, oh, so 59, so we can get 59. They sort of knew the territory pretty good. And I said, how are they doing? They said, well, only 24 are living, the rest are dead. And these are young people largely. Young people don't die. You know, young people have an amazing ability to live. They can live through horrible things, but these are young people. And when they said that 24 are living and the rest are dead, and you know, I've had parents come up, Israeli parents largely. We have some Americans, and I guess we have one left. Alex, we have the one left. But I've had Israeli parents come up to me at events and say, my son is there. I said, well, how's he doing? Well, he's dead. But would you do me the biggest favor ever? Could you bring his body back home? They talked about a young dead boy and a young dead girl like they were living. And that could have something to do with religion. That could have something to do with, I guess, maybe.
You're listening to President Trump take questions in the Oval Office live at the White House, sitting alongside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. In the meantime, we have seen the markets close.
Man, that was good.
And for a very uneventful,
Fuck, man, that was getting deep there. I was, yo.
just over 0.2%, the Nasdaq was higher.
Hold up.
The Dow fell more than 0.9%. A reminder.
I was listening.
Fell as much as 4.71% today, whereas it climbed as much as 3.4%. It did close out the day lower by 0.2%. Let's go back now to the White House, where we continue to hear live comments from President Trump.
That second group, those people came out and I said, this is unbelievable. We're going back into a chapter in history that is one of the worst ever. It's really very bad. Okay?
Mr. President, thank you. You've said it could take 2 years to get American manufacturing fully up to speed in response to these tariffs. What happens in the meantime? Should Americans be prepared potentially for years?
Yeah, I'll tell you what happens. We have now $7 trillion. Think of this, $7 trillion of commitments from companies wanting to go in, from Apple to many, many companies.
But that takes time.
Many from Taiwan. What?
It takes time to
Of course it takes. Well, are you asking me a question or are you telling me? Yeah, it takes time. You know, you got to build a thing called a factory. You have to build your energy. You have to do a lot of things. I'm giving them energy. You know, we're going to let them build their own power plants. They'll be their own. Essentially, they're going to be in charge of the power plant because our power is not reliable enough. You have a grid that's old and susceptible to a lot of things, including bombing and weather and a lot of other things. And we're going to give them record timing in terms of approvals of electric plants. Most of them want to build electric plants. We need massive amounts of electricity if we're going to compete with China and others. And interestingly, we're way ahead right now in the AI race with China. But the way we lose that race is if we can't give them electric. But we have more plants being built. We have everything. We're doing so great. And we want to keep it that way. And tariffs will be an important part of it. But one of the other things, Lee Zeldin's doing a fantastic job, head of environmental protection. And he's doing very rapid approvals for people to get, for big companies that are going to build a plant that's going to cost billions of dollars. And we're going to get them their approvals. They have to be environmentally perfect, everything good. But they're going to be
I don't know what happened.
a matter of months.
Oh man, we don't got time today to answer that question. I left. That's about it.
Turkey claims it will stabilize the situation in Syria. Yeah. Israel doesn't want Turkey to influence it. What do you think? Do you think Turkey's influence in Syria can actually make it a better, more peaceful country, or vice versa?
Well, I have great relations with a man named Erdogan. Have you heard of him? And I have
I've answered that question too many times, man.
press will get very angry. He likes Erdogan,
We're over that.
but I do, and he likes me, and we've had a problem, and we've gone through a lot, and we've never had a problem. We've always got, as you remember, we got our minister.
Nice
back.
reaction there, eh?
Remember that? And this was a
Right
big
there.
deal at the time. And we got him back.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I had the mic muted, my bad.
Tyler, quite a long time to hear from the president and Benjamin Netanyahu.
There's
Obviously, a lot
fruit,
of it
there's fruit there,
by
if you look.
questions regarding tariffs. The market looking for some reprieve, but did not seem like we're going to get any of that from this president. What did we learn on the tariff front?
Right now, I'm not in any trades, but it looks like the 4 hours bullish closing.
Planning to go into
My
effect
bad.
on April 9th. But importantly, he said he added something else, that Israel is now committed to helping reduce
4
the
hour,
trade
yeah, my
deficit
bad, the
with
sound went out
countries.
there, I had the
We
mic
have
muted.
learned that this is going to be an important
This 4 hour closes in like 50 minutes. Looks like it's going to close bullish. And we are finishing low for the day. Trump just spoke. Could be a spike up like tonight going into Tokyo session. The 30-minute even, like the 15-minute even just reacted there. Off of like that structure here, this resistance. There's like a quick reaction there. The 5-minute looks like it's accumulated at the right time of the day too, like end of London session. After everything kind of bled out, the market started to go sideways, accumulate here. So it could try to, like tonight, push up into Tokyo from the looks of it, like 4 hours, finishing lower for the day. New York dropped all morning. So this 4 hour looking like it's gonna close. I would have wanted price like how I said to look at gold would be even looking at the quarters. But like right now, it's maybe closing above 75. Yeah, you're 50 down here. It almost hit 50 today. Came close. 25. So that's how I'm gonna trade gold mainly, is try to look at the quarters and see if those stick. Like the key price levels. 29.50. If we hit that this week, that could be an area to watch. Kind of like how the market is right now at 75. Okay. Not bad. So this 4 hour big sell off, like we all know, big sell off. This could bounce. Maybe give some bullish momentum. What? So close to 29.50 there. There's also this big engulfing candle here that it looks like the market like filled. See this engulfing candle here? We filled that. There's a big imbalance there in the market. The market has, see that candle there? We have filled that as well. Another little bullish characteristic. Some divergence here, lower lows. So overall price action for like the end of the day looks a bit more on the bullish side. Right now it's hovering above 75. On the 5-minute, giving some bullish market structure up. Not the best time to enter, because if you enter the market now and you hold trades, you get fees. Like I would try to see if you get some entries maybe tonight. I'm probably gonna look for an entry tonight or something. If this level, like right now, I could see the 4 hour might hold that 75 level. I'm gonna take one trade at a time at the quarters these weeks. This will probably be like the first thing I look for this week. Maybe we gotta push up on the 4 hour. I like the way the 4 hour is looking. It's rejecting. It almost hit 29.50. If later in the week we hit 29.50 or one of these levels, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I mean, we'll be on some streams like 29.25. It's far away, but the market's moving with a lot of volatility. There's resistance there, and that's a strong area that the market broke out from. If it ever comes down to 29.25, because it almost hit 50 today. It almost hit 50. I think Trump's done speaking. This is like the biggest, I think this is the biggest like drop single-handed like gold's done. $212 and a while. Yeah, like since over here. Which is when Trump won the election. So look, it's doing the same price action when Trump won the election. Like election. It's doing the same thing. Pretty much, if you go look at like what this is when Trump won, like November 4th, 5th, I think, around there, right? November 4th. That was the 4th. I'll just put the 5th there. Elections. I think it was the 4th or 5th, if I'm not mistaken. Like similar price action. Last time we experienced a drop this big was here in the elections. So you could even see this isn't even as big. That's pretty fast. That dropped $140. So look at that price action. Yeah, there could be one more. We might be like right here right now. There could be another drag down. But that's like the last time we've seen a move this big was elections in November. I'm going to treat it how I usually treat it and how it's been working for me. I'm going to treat it the way that I've been treating it. Well, that's like, so if it drops as big as that, it would be like here, closer to $2,900. If it were to drop as much, like the last time it dropped this big and bigger was elections. I would go to like 2,900, 29.25. If it gets down there, that would be as big as dropping here, and then that just started a really big trend up, but even longer term. So this is gonna go up. Like look how long this went up for after. Even here it went up for a while. Like this could go up and set a longer trend from wherever price starts to reverse from. Even like just pretty much barely hit that resistance there here to the left. So this is either it's like this is going to be big enough to take us into like a buy the dip scenario, or I think we get one more big flush out and then it sets up for that bigger move and holds this trend because it's still in an uptrend. I'll be on later tonight though to check out the market. I didn't do wasn't looking at the market too much today. I was just like, I'm gonna let the market chill, do its thing, let it drop. That's what I said. I'm just gonna let it drop. If anything, I was like, I'm just gonna let the market drop, see where it's at in the afternoon, and here's where it is. Looks like buy the dip situation. I'm gonna treat this, but kind of like what I said. If there's another dip, it would be just probably that last flush out before this thing starts to reverse. It's coming to a lot of structure points as well. A lot of stuff going on in news. We've been on for, I don't know how long, over an hour now. Hour and like 40 minutes, I think, almost 2 hours. I'm gonna wrap it up and hop back on tonight. I don't know what time, but probably later tonight, Tokyo session, to check out what price is doing. I like usually kind of the later hours after prices moved a little bit. But 4 hour looks like it's going to close bullish. I wouldn't, selling here would be like kind of like selling low at a low point where it could pull back. It could pull back to like $3,000 or even above $3,000 from the looks of it. I'll be on later tonight. Tokyo session Tokyo session lasts until 1 a.m. So that's the thing. Like, Tokyo lasts until 1 a.m. Tokyo isn't, like, Tokyo's 1 a.m. So I don't know. That's the thing about Tokyo is it could be 10:30 is good, 11:30, 12 is good. Sometimes, like, it's a good session to kind of go on any time really. And once you sit on the charts for a bit, you might be able to find some setups. 4 hour looks like it could pop up. Probably going to finish the day bullish here on the 4 hour, and then maybe continue that momentum into like Sydney, Tokyo hours, like the beginning of Sydney, Tokyo. Because this 4 hour looks like it is going to close bullish. That could probably pop, maybe even pop the next 4 hour up. If this 4 hour does a bullish close, which it looks like in 41 minutes, like that's a lot of time, but I think this will close bullish because it's the time of the day. If anything, it keeps pushing up in the next bit. Finishes a bit stronger because the time of the day, usually it makes sense to see price action like this at this time of the day. The way it's moving, it makes sense to see bullish at this time of the day right now. If you study price, it's always good to study price moving forward. But if you go back and study price at this time of the day, it always pushes up this time of the day for the last couple months. But I'm gonna wrap it up and be on later. I'll let you guys know in Discord. I'll just pop in Discord an hour before I go live, probably 9:30 or 10:30 around there, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. This though looks more bullish to me. Like it wants to reverse. That's all I'm gonna be looking for is those buy setups still, since it's crashed. Like I missed pretty good sell opportunities. Since it's crashed, I'm not gonna sell after this has dropped the most it's dropped since. This is the most it's dropped since November when Trump got elected. So yeah, I'm still gonna be looking for buy swings, but I'm out. We will be on tonight. I'll hop back on tonight in like 6 hours. Peace, 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 peace.